All right. Dan Sullivan, Chief Engagement Officer with Inspira Marketing. Inspira, we're a brand activation experiential marketing agency. Work with lots of different clients, Jeep, American Express, National Geographic, packaged goods brands, companies, and we're really excited. This is an opportunity for us to really talk about, the area that we love and work and live in every day with his experiences. So I'm excited about that. And I wanted to have Casey now talk a little bit about himself, introduce what you're doing over there with BlueTriton, Casey.
I'm Casey Blinn. I'm Vice President of Marketing. I head up the partnership side of things, sit on the creative side. I've got an amazing counterpart on the brand side, but we kind of see after the entire portfolio, top down on the experientials and activation side of things. So we got some amazing stuff happening this week. We have roughly 15 brands in our portfolio. About 2 years ago, there were two private equity firms that got together and made a little baby called BlueTriton Brands. We carved out the Nestle water portfolio. We saw a great opportunity for some brands that have been neglected to come in and really, from a sustainability perspective, from a marketing perspective, brands that have been around for 125 years, Poland Spring, 175 years, that have been a part of this country's fabric and culture for centuries, literally. Wait there.
Sorry, I can't control that.
Yeah, that's all right. Come on, Jeff, clean it up. So we have 6 spring water brands, regional spring water brands. We have Arrowhead out in the west. We have Ozarka here in Texas. Hook 'em. We've got Ice Mountain in the Midwest, Zephyr Hills in the Florida region, Deer Park, Mid-Atlantic, and then Poland Spring up in the Northeast. We have our Pure Life brand, which is the largest water brand in the country. We didn't get Perrier, Aquapana, or Pellegrino in the deal. Nestle still owns those, so we've launched our own premium brand, domestic premium brand called Origin. We have a great event over at South Congress Hotel right now with the Create and Cultivate folks celebrating women's entrepreneurial endeavors, and with MasterCard over there. So we've got some great partnerships there. We recently acquired this amazing brand, Saratoga, out of the Northeast, and that's kind of our Voss and Evian fighter, and bringing this national. So you're going to see a whole lot more of that beautiful blue bottle, amazing in food service, getting it onto tables across fine dining and elevated opportunities and experiences.
Thanks, Casey.
Sure.
Clearly, you have a lot going on, a huge portfolio, a big job of managing all those brands and the creative and the branding and the marketing. To kick things off, this is a group that's focusing on experiential and brand activation. So a show of hands, anybody here that's involved in some way doing experiential?
Yeah, that's awesome.
There's our peeps.
Yeah.
This is us.
So the rubber meets the road.
They put us on the patio, but we're here.
It's a good experience on the patio.
We have a lot to celebrate. We should take a moment, The journey that this group have been on for the last 2-3 years, been pretty challenging. We're back. We're at South by, the mecca, the place for experiential. So it's really exciting. And I think that, we all believed in experiential before, but I know myself, I've talked to a lot of different people about having a newfound appreciation for the purpose of experiential in terms of that live social connection. Once you lose it, which we did, to get it back, there's a bigger appetite now than ever. It's just a huge opportunity for us. So if I could just ask a little glass raise here. It's Saturday. In Chicago, it's St. Patrick's Day today.
Nice.
Next weekend, it's St. Patrick's Day all over the world. So a little toast to us, those that have been driving the experiences home.
Salud.
Salud.
Yeah.
Slante.
Get a little base layer for this evening's adventures, so make sure you're staying hydrated.
So I think one of the things we wanted to get into talking about, Casey, is as an agency, on the agency side, I'm talking with new clients all the time, and part of the initial conversations when we're onboarding a new client, having conversations, asking those brand marketers what some of their most rewarding experiences have been as a marketer. And I can't tell you how many times they point to the live events world.
Yeah.
It's the place where they get to see their brand show up, its best version of itself. They're seeing the brand interacting with consumers. They're seeing the value of that two-way dialogue. They're seeing opportunities to learn from the experience with consumers and take that learning back to other marketing disciplines.
Yeah.
It's just a really exciting opportunity. And I guess I would ask you, does that hold true for you? And are there any experiences that pop out for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as sales organizations, we're constantly trying to drive sales, and that is pulling from the shelf, and we're not getting to experience what that actual enjoyment or interaction is with our product when it's at home with the family in celebration. So I think there's some great opportunities with live activations in situations like this that we actually get to engage with our consumers, get feedback, watch them drink or use the products, and really get kind of that focus group live right there to be able to learn from and to build on, and even critique from people that they want to see things different. How do you make it better? And what would you do if you were in my shoes? And being able to really have those opportunities to ask those questions where it's not just looking at IRI data and trying to chart the next opportunity from a category perspective.
That's great. I think that one of the things that we find oftentimes when we're working with clients, there's two kind of clients fall into like two different categories oftentimes. Like, they're an experiential brand. They believe in it. It's a major focus and a commitment for them. That's a big part of the marketing mix. And then there are those that I refer to as experimental.
Yeah.
That confusion of experiential and experimental, it does come up. But there's brands that have, I think, realized that what you're saying about the learning, the view of the event itself as a learning lab, and from the beginning, understanding that that's an opportunity and a stage for your brand to show up in its best version, but also to listen and learn, and to be able to really create that as an opportunity in that two-way dialogue to bring that back.
Yeah, and it can be across the board. So is it about packaging? Is it something that what is the logo doing? Are there opportunities, from a survey perspective, while you're handing out hats or the swag and even samples to engage that person to really kind of do a little bit deeper dive on what the brand management side may need to know, and even engaging them in the experiential side of things. What do you want me to go ask? How do you want me to go engage your consumer? What are the things you're looking at trying to solve? And is that from a campaign perspective? Is that a price conversation? Is that a perception? Is blue glass premium? Is it do we need to go clear like Avion? Are there things along those kind of engagement points that you can really get that raw connectivity right there?
So you said at the beginning, huge portfolio of brands that
Yep.
you're sitting over. You're not typically, a lot of those brands typically aren't the brands you see with full-on advertising, TV campaigns and so forth, oftentimes. What do you look at in terms of the role of experiential across the portfolio?
Yeah, I think we're trying to ladder up the strategic partnerships as well. We have Poland Spring has a 22-year-long partnership with the Yankees, and so how do we leverage that? How do we incorporate them? We're bringing experiences for people to Yankee Stadium. Last year we did a batting practice with Bernie Williams that we brought people in, and they're able to take swipes in the batting cage, and Bernie was there to be like, all right, what if you lifted your elbow a little bit, and became this really amazing opportunity that was certainly something that you don't typically get. So leveraging those partnerships across the brands to really kind of elevate and amplify the experiential side of things, and even bringing that back to retail. Arrowhead has got a partnership with Anaheim Ducks, and I don't know anybody from the West Coast. 13 years ago, it used to be the Anaheim Pond out there, and so Arrowhead was a big driver in that community. Honda has since taken that naming rights, but we're back in, and so we're selling there. The logo's under the ice. We have experiences. We have tickets that we're able to build sweepstakes against that the brand teams are able to leverage. And then, we're able to take our teams to Ralph's or Kroger, to different retailers around those communities and really kind of drive those sales and make sure that connectivity between your fandom and our brand are connecting and are kind of in sync.
Well, what's it about for you in terms of, I know there's a lot of brands that you're doing it, but is it about presence and just having that top of mind awareness? Is it about elevating the brand to be able to?
Yeah.
Is it being part of culture? Can you maybe talk
I mean,
a
it's
little
great. It's great. I think of all our brands, it's great to have Brad Pitt and Selma Hayek in a room, or whatever, the 15 most popular people in the world at your event. But we need 150,000 people to see those 15 people in a room. And I think from our standpoint, strategically, we're really trying to make those associations with media companies or other media brand partners. For instance, Create and Cultivate out there with Origin. We do an origin story, so we actually engage our consumers to come in and tell your story, and we'll make it. We'll put it out on social. We have a whole tracker, so you can go to the website. And we've been out at Art Basel with artists there. We've been here last year with musicians. We've been out at Coachella with different rock stars and that sort of thing. We were at Super Bowl a couple weeks ago, bringing in NFL players and celebrity chefs for tailgates, and just being able to broadcast those stories that we find compelling and we think people want to hear, and allowing you to be in that same space. So you're as important as these people. We want to hear what your story is. So putting on something like that, but then obviously making sure that's getting broadcasted out so that people are aware of that, people can go see it. We've got a House of Rob Report activation on 7th and Congress with Saratoga. There's going to be some cocktails tonight. You can get over there. And
I think KC might be the all access pass to South by here if you're catching on here.
and we have our Ozarka pedicabs running around town, so giving people free rides, so and giving you a bottle of water when you sit down, so having that sampling experience. And it's a hot day running around town, you don't need to walk, we'll take care of you as a brand and make sure that you're hydrated. So that one's not necessarily as grandiose, but it is a local brand, and feels like it's a little bit more of a grassroots movement for people that know it, and introducing people that are coming into town at next time you're in Austin or in Texas to be looking for this water brand as well. So again, laddering it up, amplifying it, making sure that you have other people pointing to you and telling everybody else how great you are, versus you just kind of thumping your chest and saying, look how amazing we are.
That's great. I think one of the things you just hit on it was storytelling.
Yep.
And that's been something each of the presenters this week have been talking about. And it's interesting because, as brand marketers, we all have that same responsibility, regardless of what medium we're working within. You have to have an understanding of the brand, understand what lights up your core consumer segment, that target, that mindset that's going to be the most valuable source of business, and identify that strategy, have a key insight and a kick-ass, bold, creative idea, and then just tell the story. But a lot of what we've been hearing, even just the last day or two, all these different mediums are so pressured for time. There's a 30-second, there's a 60-second. When you get into experiential, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
Sure.
Some of the culinary stuff you're doing is a full-on session, an hour plus. There's such a long-form medium that we're working with in experiential to tell that story. But even beyond that, it becomes more of the story sharing.
Yep.
You just hit on it with Origin Story. I'd love for you to expand on that, because you're inviting people into the brand voice and sharing.
Yeah. I mean, I think another great pillar of that is our sustainability approach. And I think, this is a great opportunity to educate people. And, quite frankly, the brands that we inherited weren't necessarily managed to the best that we believe they could have been. And so, across our portfolio, we're actually leading the category with 27%. The bottom bottle is 27% recycled plastic. Our Origin brand is 100% recycled plastic, so it was a bottle before it is a bottle, become a bottle again, if you dispose of it properly. If you go throw a glass bottle in a river, there's a glass bottle in a river. So, or a tin can, or however that works. So it's more about education. It's understanding that we're paying a premium from a sustainability perspective to buy that recycled plastic to put into our portfolios. There's many other brands that we have 100% rPET in, and so being able to interface with that consumer, tell that story, because I think especially from a premium water standpoint, that's table stakes. You have to be able to come to market with a foundation that you're looking to have a brand that's going to be there for a while and make the world better. And we've been able to go into our aquifers and do a lot of management there and make sure that there's a lot of ecology maintenance and management within the spring waters that we draw from, and making sure we're not taking more than is allotted or needed, quite frankly. And so a lot of that is happening on the street level. I mean, we can certainly have a campaign about it. We can certainly do media around that, but to be able to put a can in somebody's hand or a bottle in somebody's hand or a 100% recycled plastic bottle in somebody's hand and have that conversation, that's where you're actually going to change people's minds. And it's a person-to-person situation, and we're here to help make the world a better place in that particular category. So I think that's where a lot of that storytelling is happening. I think hopefully that answers.
No, it absolutely does. And it's with a subject like sustainability, experiential becomes a really interesting dialogue, right?
Absolutely.
We talked about the learning that you get back. There's a two-way experience.
Yeah.
So you've got your story, you've got your approach, and all the support you're doing at all these levels. It's an opportunity to hear good, bad, better.
Yes.
In some cases,
yeah.
That's a part of getting out and talking with people.
Yeah.
It's just like being social. You learn and you listen. So sustainability is one of those areas. I think the other thing, you mentioned the origin story where you're asking, I think you described it like everybody has an origin.
Yeah.
I just thought that was really interesting because the brand voice is yours, but you're leaving room for so many others to come in and give it context.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really know where you're headed unless you know where you've been, right? And so we're giving people this opportunity to sit down and tell their story, and it's become this, we try to give people 5 minutes to try to get as much content as possible, as we do as marketers. But people don't want to leave. It's therapy. They just want to sit there and talk about themselves. They want to talk about their accomplishments, their vision, their dreams, some of the hardships of where they've come from to get to the places that they are. So it's been really inspiring and really cool to meet a ton of these people along the way. And even from a celebrity segment, kind of cutting through that and really hearing about these individuals as humans and as how they came up and the opportunities that they capitalized on, and building their own brands and building their own companies. So and being able to then take that away as a brand and kind of reflect on that a bit as well.
Well, that's one of those activations. To me, it feels evergreen.
Yeah.
It's just where you put your brand down gives you additional context to keep telling that story. You're at Super Bowl. I saw some of the stuff you were sharing.
Yep.
You're talking to NFL players about their origin story. That's
right.
A completely different place from what you're talking about with artists and their inspiration.
Yeah, and a lot of it too. You got Trayvon Diggs, go Cowboys. That is, talking about being a dad and talking about his kids' origin stories and about how he's trying to make life different for his family and the way he came up, and associating that with his craft or his profession and what he's doing to make a better world for his own family and his own son. So, again, I think it's a great ladder from a brand perspective and a great connection to be able to tie to real people, to understand their stories, to be able to put that out from an information standpoint. And, again, we're not, no offense to any of the brands that might be here, we're not selling Chardonnay in a can. The water is ubiquitous. People know what to do with it. And so it's a matter of being able to engage with people and making it relevant. So, there's a lot of opportunities, a lot of brands to choose from in your water selections. We want to be that for you because we're making that connection with you on a real personal side of things. So.
And that point you just made in terms of some consumers looking at water as more of a commodity. It's a brand I need, but there might be an affinity to it. Talk a little bit about how I know that you've been using a lot of culture to really break through and connect at a higher level with consumers.
Yeah, I mean, like any other portfolio brands, each of those brands has its own DNA, it has its own pillars, it has its different kind of cultural connections. Our Splash brand is our fruit-flavored water. It used to be kind of, skew much older and be kind of that sweet refreshment at the end of the day for a older demographic. We have kind of brought that down from a Gen Z and millennial perspective, have refreshed the brand. We've tied T-Pain to it, and it has kind of blown up as the party water, if you will. And so being able to push into those parties, on if you guys are around next week, Tuesday through Friday, we're partnering with Rolling Stone magazine, another media outlet, at ACL Live, and we've crossed over into mixology, being able to use our flavored water to make cocktails with. And so we're able to get it from kind of ground level up with AYSO and Little League, but can also make it a very adult opportunity from experiential standpoint as well. So we can kind of hit the different marks with that particular brand that clearly resonates in the music space, in the art space, and certainly in the mixology space. And so those are the events, those are the experiences that we're looking to drive, whereas something like a Saratoga, again, from a storytelling standpoint, it's a much more premium approach to water, and certainly a badge in people's hands, and connecting with those like-minded brands, like-minded approaches to be able to build out our awareness and our brand loyalty.
And for Saratoga, as you mentioned, is that a hospitality play? Is it more of a dining and culinary?
Yeah. Like I mentioned earlier, I mean, this we have a 28-ounce bottle that still and sparkling that sits on tables. We just signed a deal with Top Chef. We're giving away $250,000 for Top Chef on Bravo. So tune in on Thursday nights. You'll see our ads, and you'll see the integration of our product into that, and from that we're able to leverage that with the chefs. We're able to have Padma come out and be a part of our experience as well, making that a much more premium kind of integration and a more memorable opportunity for people to meet and greet and things along those lines. So, yeah.
I think so much of what you're doing, and we talked in advance, you shared a lot of work with me. What I was struck with was the authenticity of everything that you're doing, because if you're not careful, there's that liquid to lips. Oh, here I am at an event. Here's a water brand. Thank you for the sample. Goodbye. You miss out on the experience, the conversation, the elevated of the brand. It feels like there's an opportunity to, as you're doing, to integrate with culture and even some creative collabs that you've been working on.
Yeah, absolutely. So with our Arrowhead brand, I came out of the beer world, and we did a lot of collaborations back then. One of the first things that I did when I started here at BlueTriton was I connected with an amazing sake brewer out of San Francisco, and we ended up brewing a sake with our Arrowhead spring water, which had never been done before. And this guy is an award-winning brewer that has imported Japanese sake rice, growing it in Sacramento at the base of the Sierra Nevada mountains, where the snowpack and where our aquifer is for our water, and so our spring water. So we're actually growing the rice in the same water that we're using the spring water to then do the fermentation, and it being 90% water has offered a very specific kind of taste profile. And we documented that and have been winning awards with the documentary itself. We're a little late to South by on the entry based on when we actually launched the product, but doing amazing kind of crossover with water not just being a commodity, it's really kind of an ingredient, and taking this kind of Intel Inside or Powered By perspective, and where can we go with that? We've been talking to a lot of breweries. How do we influence a limited edition offering or some type of PRable opportunity to work with a distiller or a brewer or a pizza dough opportunity or a bagel that we're bringing our water in, and it's that much better of an experience, and might not be something that is street level, but you're still engaging with a brand. The brand is still reaching in to your world and making an effort to invest in you as a consumer to be relevant, to show that we're continuing to think and figure out how we can create those touch points outside of just our normal category. So
that's great. One of the other things I think that we as a discipline of experiential have been benefiting from is, the integration. The 10 years ago, beyond live events, the experiential, the people who were in the room, on the stage, benefited. Outside the walls, they didn't. Obviously, there was initial digital and social amplifications. Now, influencer and content creations as part of the experience. I think that we've had some success in looking at brand ambassadors as content creators, not just someone who's representing the brand or educating, but creating an experience for the consumer, with the consumer, and creating some of the content. Can you talk a little bit about some of this experience you've been having in the approach?
Yeah. So with Origin specifically, we have Wolfgang Puck as one of our brand ambassadors. He's actually kind of continuing that Origin story platform, and he's going out to his organic farms that he gets his vegetables for Cut and for Spago and for all his restaurants, and we're showing literally the origin story of the food that's going to be on a plate within his restaurant. There's cheese purveyors and fishmongers and telling their story, and so it's not just sitting on this level. He's actually kind of taking a step back and bringing everybody along with him that has made him who he is. With our Pure Life brand, we've had a great opportunity with Chef Robert Irvine and have kind of repositioned him more as a lifestyle guru. He has his Restaurant Impossible show that he's dealing much more with kind of the personalities and the psyche of people than he is necessarily the food that's on the plate. He certainly can do some recipes for us. He can be what a celebrity chef is expected to be, but clearly with his kind of physicality and stature and whatnot, he can address physical health, mental health, hydration, healthy hydration, how to build those conversations around a meal, around a recipe that brings the family together. And so that obviously being driven from a media perspective with different online series and different content series that you can get through our media channels as well, through the social channels and through our website. So
that's great. The other thing is return on experience. We talk about the idea, the value of experience as experiential marketers. Oftentimes we're needing to justify or defend or validate, prove out the success of the program beyond the traditional how many waters were handed out and the impressions or engagements. How do you guys view in terms of the return on experience?
Yeah, KPIs are no joke, right? We're all responsible for them and get graded on them, and we got to come with our data. And as performance marketing becomes much more of a ratcheted up approach to success, to be able to spend the money that we do in places like this or with strategic partners, we certainly need to show how that is reflective. And being an experiential guy and a creative side of things, a lot of it is just, from my side, just being there. I mean, we all know, but we do have to prove it. So, there are, in our world, how many stories did we get? How many hats did we give away? How many samples were passed out? How many likes? How many follows? And those are all, accounted for. There's certainly within our category as well. Were you able to get Saratoga into Lambert's? Well, I'm going to try my hardest. Those are opportunities of where we go, are targets of where we want to be as well. So there's a reason why we're here. We're a reason why we're there. We're a reason why we're there, and we're going to take those opportunities to meet with F&B folks. We're going to use those celebrity connections, specifically in the food space, to get into their restaurants, to promote them as they're promoting us, and everybody try to come up together on it. So I think there are definitely those key metrics that we're trying to prove for, but ultimately relationships still go a long way, and to be able to be a part of this is a new thing for me, and something that's super exciting, and being able to tell you my story and have you guys have the patience to listen to it is phenomenal. I look forward to meeting you guys afterwards, and I think that's a key takeaway from me as far as my own personal metrics and things that I can take back to my company and say that I met all these amazing people from all these amazing brands that we can now kind of have a strategy behind on, can we connect? Can we build something together and come up together? So,
and that right there is the value of being live experiences,
absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
We're not the consumers in this case, but as Dan said before, you don't put on your B&B pants one day and just be a B2B person. We're here as consumers and holistic people. It's interesting. I feel like there's a need to be a little bit more creative, more scrappy in terms of pulling everything in, scraping all the data, but looking at hard and soft measures, right? Like you just mentioned in terms of consumers sharing stories, right? That, earned media is certainly one of the key values,
Absolutely.
right? The KPIs. But to look at it from the perspective of a consumer who came and had a 25-minute engagement with the brand that was so authentic, that's validation that you did the right thing, and that consumer valued that experience so much that organically they're sharing that experience. So not all stories, not all content, not all shares are of equal weight and value.
Well, and again, it's there's a lot of location-based stuff. So you talked about earned media. We were out at Super Bowl a couple weeks ago. One of our spokesmen for our Action Water, our alkaline water, is Caleb Williams, SC quarterback, Heisman Trophy winner. And based on our relationship with him, again, we're making those we're able to bring him to those experiences, but we're also able to engage from a media standpoint. And we were able to get over $16 million in earned media in 4 hours of kind of doing the ESPNs and the Shannon Sharp show and different media outlets that are now tied back to our brand. Him being able to talk about healthy hydration. We had Darren Waller of the Raiders that was doing some stuff for us for Arrowhead, and he was able to bring in over $2 million in earned media. And so to bring those things don't necessarily pay for the events or for the sponsorships or for the activation fees, but you can certainly make the argument that had we not been there doing those things, we wouldn't have had the opportunity to go drive the business down this category either. So I think there's a lot of symmetry and synergy from different departments to be able to use events and use the lifestyle and activation side of things, the events, to propel other avenues of marketing and other departments that they're able to build on as well.
Yeah.
I think, Jeff, we're going to throw it to Jeff. Is that right?
No,
You're looking for a question session? A little two-way dialogue, as we say?
I mean, water is a big business. Holy shit.
Yes. $22 billion.
Yeah, that's a big business. And every time I had a question, you answered it. Sustainability, marketing mix, media. But I have one question here. Time for one question. So.
Hello, and thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for listening.
My question is really for both of you, and it's about the agency-client relationship.
Sure.
To get the best possible engagement, the best possible experience, who owns the insight? Is it prescriptive from client to agency? Is it part of the brief generated at the agency? How do you work?
Well, we do a pre-cap and a recap, and so I'm working with the brands before an event. What does good look like to you? Why are we there? Why do you want to be there as a brand? Our budget system's a little different, but it will ultimately hit the brand's P&L. So as to those dollars attributed to us being in these places. So I want to make sure I'm doing right by the brand, that we're getting them what they want. And ultimately, what are those KPIs? Is it 10 stories? Is it 15 likes? Is it 150 bottles handed out? At an Expo West, those KPIs are going to be way different than at a Rob Report house. And what does that look like to you, and why are we doing what we're doing? So we start from a brand down perspective and being able to then brief that out to the agency and say, this is what we want to go get. Let's now, between our collective resources, figure out how to go do that.
And then we use that as our starting point. Our expectation is that we're going to get smart from the client. It's their brand. They've been working with their consumer. But now our process is going to identify the insight that's going to fuel the creative strategy and ultimately the idea and the experience. Just one brief example, like when National Geographic came to us, they're a huge company, media company. They've got 100 million Instagram followers, the #1 brand on social. They have all their consumer segmentation, but it was all done from a media perspective, and it's very different when you're creating an experience. And they came to us and said they wanted to put a stake in the ground and have a focus on sustainability with a kickoff for Earth Day. So they felt they knew who was going to tell Nat Geo more about Earth Day. But we were able to go through their information and realize all the focus on Earth Day is about obligation, clean up, pledge, protect. where is the celebration? Where is the connection that we've all enjoyed through the pandemic and beyond in terms of our planet and feeling the love and the connection to that? Why don't we shift from the obligation and focus on celebration, and that becomes a new lens, and now let's celebrate with Earth Day Eve concerts and different opportunities to celebrate the brand, to be a cultural experience. And that was an insight that we drove, even though they gave us so much information. So sometimes you get lucky and you get something that's really strong like that drove everything. Other times the client is arming you with all that you need, and then you go into creative strategy and execution with the idea.
Yeah, and if there's something that's left on the vine that the agency can bring as added value, that we're able to bring those learnings in, and now that becomes a new kind of standard for what the next event is going to be. So,
Casey,
yes,
I know you're a brand genius, but
You're talking to him.
The question that I saw from IBM that spoke before on corporate America and the
Sure.
sustainability and their partnerships with water companies, is that an approach that you're looking to take with your company and partner with other corporations? and
absolutely. So
hospitality
one
companies?
of our business arms is called Ready Refresh, and so it's a subscription-based, essentially DSD, that we're in 1.6 million doors across the country, looking to grow that side of the business. So if you guys want to sign up on Ready Refresh, you can have beautiful Saratoga waiting for you at your house when you get home. But yeah, I mean, that's something that we're leveraging within corporate America to get water, bring hydration, keep people on their toes, make sure that that is a through line and the ability to actually get it there through that arm of our business. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm a Ready Refresh customer. Let's give a round of applause to Casey.
Thank you guys, really appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.